This is the first penalty taker, and the pressure on him is just enormous. You can see it on his face. Stopped it! Wasn't going to be outfoxed by that little shuffle, was he? Oh, he's missed it! Tried to be far too cute. Should have just smashed it. He scored! The little shuffle in the run had the keeper guessing. Calmly done. They don't stop those. Next volunteer is Lionel Messi. Oh yes, it's a bit of a gamble, but he went for the centre of the goal. He has got a rather nervous look about him. To be expected though. Scores! Oh, he's just got away with it. Must have wondered for a second, but it's in the back of the net. He scored. Battle of wits with the keeper, straight down the middle. Calmly taken. Well, what a responsibility, what a chance. If the keeper saves this, he wins the game for them. Oh, what about that? Cheeky way to take a penalty. When it works like that, it looks good. Oh no! Off the post and out! He's missed it! He knows what he's got to do. If he scores, he's won it for them. He's done it! He has won the game for them. It's not to be. Maybe the occasion was just a little too big for them. Perhaps it got to them. You don't play in a World Cup semi-final every day. They won't be playing in the final, I'm afraid.
Too many of them just went missing when it mattered most of all. Not good enough today.
Dramatic finale.
Win the ball, win the ball.
World Cup, Brazil dreams destroyed by ruthless Germany. Hosts Brazil suffered one of the most humiliating defeats in World Cup history as Germany scored 5 times in the first half in reaching the final. Thomas Müller volleyed home following a corner before Miroslav Klose swept in to become the World Cup's all-time leading scorer with his 16th goal. Toni Kroos drove in the third and then tapped in his second before Sami Khedira made it 5-0 from 12 yards. Andre Schürrle added 2 more after the break before Oscar's late consolation. Germany will play either Argentina or Netherlands, who face each other on Wednesday, in Sunday's final. First there was disbelief. Then there were tears. Brazil's World Cup dream was ended in humiliating fashion after it was obliterated 7-1 in the semi-finals by Germany. Beaten, battered and bloodied, and this a nation which had not lost a competitive home game since 1975. Brazil conceded 5 times in 18 minutes during the first half as Germany ran riot. Thomas Müller's 11th minute strike gave Germany the lead before 4 goals in 6 minutes destroyed Brazil's hopes of winning the tournament on home soil. Miroslav Klose became the World Cup's all-time leading scorer with 16 when he netted his side's second, firing home the rebound after Julio Cesar had saved his initial effort. A minute later it was 3-0. Toni Kroos thumping home from the edge of the penalty area as Brazil imploded. With Brazil floored, Germany's ruthless streak came to the fore with Kroos adding his second after a 1-2 with Sami Khedira. And it was Khedira who made it 5-3 finishing coolly after needing to play with Mesut Ozil to leave Luis Felipe Scolari's men decimated. Booed off at the interval, there was little to cheer about in the second half, with Andre Schürrle's 69th minute strike rubbing salt in Brazilian wounds. As Brazilian fans began to leave Estadio Mineirão in Belo Horizonte, Schürrle netted a spectacular seventh to inflict the nation's heaviest ever defeat. Oscar's late effort reduced the deficit to a mere 6, but not even he could bring himself to celebrate, such was the embarrassment. Germany, playing in its fourth consecutive World Cup semi-final, will now face either Argentina or the Netherlands in Sunday's final in Rio de Janeiro. World Cup 2014, Faith and Football as Brazil unites to pray for glory. It is hard to think of a country that combines sport and spirituality quite like Brazil. Neymar may be out of the World Cup, but Brazil has kept the faith. Brazil still believes. With coach Luis Felipe Scolari not able to rely on an individual to drive the Selecao to the final in Rio on Sunday, the nation is looking to a higher power. Brazil is embracing a blend of religion, emotion and superstition. And that is as true of the 200 million people of this vast, varied country, as it is of the national team. During the run to Tuesday's semi-final against Germany, the players have used religious symbols, lucky charms, music and prayer. It is often said that, in Brazil, football is a religion, but it is a much more complicated picture than that. Football is instead a platform for the country's religions to find a voice. The Brazil team have been united by their combined belief throughout this World Cup. Scolari has used it to bond and motivate the players. Before the victory over Colombia, he visited a chapel in the grounds of the team hotel in Fortaleza. In the dressing room before the match, the squad repeated the Lord's Prayer. And at the final whistle, defender David Luiz sank to his knees and prayed again. My faith in Jesus gives me strength to keep on going out onto the field and to do my best, he says. But I also want to inspire others, that is what God inspires me to do. For me, true life is found in the relationship with Jesus Christ. I believe that everything in life belongs to God and He has a clear plan for us if we follow Him. There are two clear faiths within the team, the Catholics and the Evangelicals. Unlike past World Cups, where the players prayed separately, in Brazil the squad have come together to pray. They have found unity. Luis and Neymar are among the Evangelicals, as are Fernandinho and Fred. Neymar may be injured, but the striker's faith remains unequivocal. His trademark celebration is a simple finger pointed to the sky with an upward glance. He met the mother of his child through the church and donates 10% of his vast earnings to a charity called Athletes for Christ. As a child, he wore a headband that read 100% Jesus and went to church in São Vicente. After he was ruled out of the tournament, his actress girlfriend Bruna Marquezine wrote a message on Instagram, quoting from the Bible. John 13:7 Jesus said to him, "What I do thou knowest not now, but you will understand later." Scolari is a devout Catholic. His faith came to the fore publicly in 2002, when after winning the World Cup with Brazil he dropped to his knees with his staff and prayed after the victory over Germany in Yokohama. Many of the players did the same, Edmilson, Lucio and Kaká praying with their hands clenched together. When Scolari returned home to the state of Rio Grande do Sul, in the south of Brazil, he walked 12 miles to a pilgrimage site. He is known to place statues of Our Lady of Caravaggio and Our Lady of Fatima, a 20th century tradition of a reported appearance of the Virgin Mary in a Portuguese village, in the dressing room. "I like my faith," he has said. "It gives us power." Before the penalty shootout in their last 16 game against Chile, Brazil captain Thiago Silva prayed alone on the sidelines. "I asked God to bless our players, especially goalkeeper Julio Cesar. He deserved that," he said. What no one knew was Cesar had placed a religious charm in his goal before the penalties began. It had been handed to him at the end of extra time by reserve goalkeeper Victor. "There is faith and there is superstition," Victor said. "In my case, it's faith. I am religious and I try to reinforce my spiritual side before every game. It is a way to strengthen myself and support my friends with my prayers. I had not planned to give it to Julio," but it happened on the spur of the moment. He welcomed it. It was a kind of reinforcement. I want to stress the importance of Julio as a goalkeeper. Faith is important, but we can't depend on faith alone. God does his part and we have to do our job on the field. Julio was well prepared. Brazilian goalkeepers have always been viewed as particularly religious. If star players, such as Neymar, are known as cracks, the great goalkeepers are called saints. On 3 occasions during this World Cup they have been pictured on television and in newspapers with halos over their heads. Faith and spirituality is nothing new when it comes to the Brazil national team. When they won the tournament in 1994, the squad were accompanied in the USA by a team chaplain, former Formula One driver Alex Ribeiro. He later published a book called Who Won the Cup? Him Up There. Football reflects the depth and variety of Brazilian faith. Football grounds are known as temples, players hailed as gods. The famous Brazilian club Vasco da Gama even has a chapel the size of a church inside its stadium. To many, Cristo Redentor, Christ the Redeemer, is the national symbol of Brazil. Religious imagery is everywhere you look. Close to where Brazil have trained in Teresópolis, there is a mountain range called God's Fingers. São Paulo is named after St. Paul, Salvador is named after Jesus, while Copacabana got its name from the patron saint of Bolivia, Virgin of the Candelaria. Faith, in this week of all weeks, has come to the fore once again for Brazil and its beloved Selecao. In the hours before the semi-final against Germany, Scolari will find a chapel in Belo Horizonte and pray. Before emerging into the cacophony of noise at Estadio Mineral, the players will stand together and recite the Lord's Prayer as one. In churches and homes across Brazil, pictures of the players hang next to crosses and other religious symbols. These two pillars are inescapably intertwined here. Brazil's footballers, and the wider population, believe it is their destiny to win the World Cup in the City of God on 13 July. Germany humiliates Brazil 7-1 to reach World Cup final. Brazil's World Cup dreams ended in humiliating and brutal fashion as Germany inflicted their heaviest defeat in the first semi-final in Belo Horizonte. A thunderous occasion that began with Brazil riding a tidal wave of emotion was reduced to a nightmare as Germany were 5-0 up inside 29 remarkable minutes in front of a disbelieving Estadio Mineirão crowd. Brazil's players mourned the absence of the injured Neymar before kickoff, but captain Thiago Silva was an even bigger loss. The result was their first competitive home defeat in 39 years, and the end of their hopes of making it to the World Cup final at the iconic Maracanã on Sunday. Instead, Germany will meet either Argentina or Netherlands, who meet on Wednesday in São Paulo. Thomas Muller gave the 3-time winners an early lead before a period of utter chaos saw Miroslav Klose break the World Cup scoring record. Toni Kroos add 2 more in the space of 179 seconds and Sami Khedira net a 5th. Chelsea striker Andre Schürrle, on as a substitute, added 2 more after the break before Brazil's followers delivered what must be regarded as the defining insult to their national team, cheering every German pass and applauding their goals. Many Brazil supporters, swamped with such anticipation as they gathered in their thousands around the ground hours before kickoff, were reduced to tears after less than 30 minutes, and reduced to such a state of shock that it was only at halftime that they registered their first serious dissent. This equaled Brazil's heaviest margin of defeat, a 6-0 loss at the hands of Uruguay in the 1920 Copa America, but the impact of this reverse, not just on the world stage but in their homeland, will put this alongside the 1950 World Cup final defeat by the Uruguayans in Rio as their darkest football day. Muller's early goal was a big enough setback, but the manner in which Luis Felipe Scolari's side crumbled in the space of 7 minutes is likely to be a matter of national debate in this country for years to come. This was Brazil's first defeat at home for 12 years. The loss for a country built on sporting pride, and at their own World Cup, will be bad enough to take. The scale of defeat will take the inquests to a new level. The statistics stacked up like pieces of rubble around the feet of Scolari and his players. This was the first time a team had scored 7 in a World Cup semi-final, and the biggest defeat in one of these games since West Germany beat Austria 6-1 in 1954. The five-time champions team coach bears the phrase "brace yourself, the sixth is coming." It did indeed arrive, but only in the back of Julio Cesar's net. With all David Luiz's defensive indiscipline offering rich pickings for Germany's speed and mobility, the game swiftly descended into a fiasco for Brazil. Much has been made of their over-emotion, and there was, in retrospect, an overblown public reaction to the absence of Neymar, injured in the quarterfinal against Colombia, in the hour leading up to kickoff. Scolari led his players off, the team coach wearing a white fork and Neymar baseball cap, before Captain Luiz and goalkeeper Cesar held up his number 10 shirt during a stirring rendition of Brazil's national anthem. It was all downhill, and rapidly, for Brazil from the moment Müller was the beneficiary of dreadful marking to steer in Cruz's corner. Brazil simply fell apart, and it was an invitation Germany were not going to refuse, as Klose scored at the second attempt to set a new World Cup record of 16 goals in only 23 games. What followed was one of the most remarkable passages of play in any World Cup game, let alone a semi-final, as Germany did not just look like scoring on every attack, they invariably did. Throughout this World Cup there has been a suspicion a mediocre Brazil defense has been disguised. With the shield of Silva removed, they were simply taken apart by Germany, wilting under pressure and abject in coping with their attacking variety. Cruz side-footed home a finish Cesar touched but could not save, then the midfielder quickly added another win set up by the unselfish Khedira. Khedira added another before halftime, and an example of the complete disintegration of Brazil's organization, discipline and basic defense. He strolled towards the penalty area untroubled before exchanging passes with Mesut Ozil to score. It was only then, perhaps as full recognition sunk in, that Brazil's supporters started to deliver a toxic reaction to their team, with striker Fred singled out for vicious treatment. Despite a lively start to the second half that saw Germany keeper Manuel Neuer distinguish himself, normal service was resumed as Schürrle finished off a fine passing move before drilling a near-post finish past Cesar, who should have done better. It was at this point the home fans threw their support behind Germany, cheering passing moves and even breaking into applause for Schürrle's goal. Oscar's late strike was nothing in the way of consolation to them, and they turned savagely on their players, many of whom left the pitch in tears, at the final whistle. Brazil knew their World Cup dream might have to end. No one suspected for a moment it would end like this.
Argentina's Lionel Messi can seal legacy with World Cup win. Lionel Messi can seal his impressive resume as the world's greatest soccer player by leading Argentina to a World Cup victory over Germany on Sunday. The comparisons with flamboyant and outspoken legend Diego Maradona have surely become tiresome to World Cup star Lionel Messi of Argentina, but they will be intensified to a whole new decibel over the next 48 hours. Nearly 3 decades after Maradona carried Argentina on his back to the 1986 World Cup title, his quieter, more humble heir, Messi, has a chance to duplicate Diego's heroics, wearing the captain's armband against the same exact opponent, Germany. If Messi can work his magic Sunday, or even play a peripheral role while drawing defenders to open up space for his teammates, he will once and for all put an end to the debate of whether he measures up to Maradona as one of the best players of all time. He certainly would equal El Diego as the best players ever to wear the sky blue and white number 10. The Barcelona playmaker is a 4-time World Player of the Year. He has won 6 Spanish La Liga titles, 3 Champions League trophies, and is the all-time Barcelona leading scorer with 354 goals in 425 matches. He is the highest paid player in the world at $27 million per year, and if that weren't enough, he earns a staggering $40 million in endorsements. He also happens to stand 2 inches taller than the 5'5" Maradona, whose gigantic personality made him seem a more imposing figure on and off the field. But Maradona has one thing Messi doesn't: a World Cup championship on his resume. Messi, 27, can change that Sunday, and one-up Maradona by beating the Germans at Maracana Stadium, the Brazilian soccer cathedral. I think Lionel Messi's legacy is already secure, ESPN analyst Ian Dark said on a teleconference Thursday. He's been World Player of the Year 4 times, he's broken all kinds of records. We know he's a great player. I think this would just be the final gloss of paint, if you like, on a wonderful reputation. But I suppose in Argentina, Messi maybe needs this to just move himself alongside Diego Maradona, who almost won it single-handedly in 1986. Fellow ESPN commentator Alexi Lalas said the comparisons will never stop because both players are Argentine, left-footed and diminutive, but if Messi wins a trophy Sunday, he has this final box checked off, and then the only question is which icon is more beloved by the Argentine people. Maradona probably would always win that contest because he was raised in a shanty town and spent the first 6 years of his career in Argentina before going to Europe, whereas Messi moved to Spain as a young boy and has spent his entire professional career there, making him in the minds of some Argentines more Spanish than Argentine. Maradona also was a renegade, a controversial headline waiting to happen, and Argentine fans always were entertained by their flawed hero. Messi is a cautious corporate spokesman. There's no way Messi can ever be Diego Maradona from a personal perspective given what Maradona has meant, the man of the people and all that kind of stuff, Lawless said. So from that compare and contrast, it's never going to happen. But from being the best player ever to play the game, I think if Messi is going to help lead this team to the World Cup and win it, and not just win it but win it in Maracanã in Brazil, he would have to be considered, as far as I'm concerned, the best player ever to play the game. Messi has waited 3 World Cups to finally make his mark on the sport's biggest stage. 8 years ago at the 2006 World Cup in Germany, he was barely 19 and coming off an injury. Argentina lost to Germany in penalty kicks in the quarterfinals. 4 years ago in South Africa, Messi did not stand out, and the Germans knocked the Maradona-coached Argentines out again with a 4-0 shocker in the quarterfinal in Cape Town. Messi scored just 1 goal in 8 World Cup matches in 2006 and 10, and the question was whether he could achieve as much for his country as he did for his club team. He has taken a giant step toward proving he can here over the past few weeks. He had a goal and assist against Bosnia, a goal against Iran and 2 goals against Nigeria. But he has been relatively quiet in the knockout stage, going scoreless with no assists against Switzerland, Belgium and the Netherlands. Before the game against the Dutch, Orange coach Louis van Gaal said of Messi, "On the most important stage, he hasn't always pulled it off. He's always found it difficult to do that at international level and he wants to change that at this tournament. We want to stop him, so that's going to be quite a challenge." The Dutch stifled Messi's creativity by suffocating him with 2 and sometimes 3 defenders at almost all times. But Messi still made a difference. His very presence roaming around the middle of the field kept the Dutch on alert, and might have prevented them from attacking as much as they would against another team for fear of leaving Messi unguarded. German coach Joachim Löw and his team now face the same challenge. They certainly have the personnel to do the same as the Dutch. They shut down Cristiano Ronaldo in a 4-0 first-round victory. The Germans also have been scoring more than the Argentines here. They thrashed Brazil 7-1, whereas Argentina has won all its games by 1 goal to 1, 1-0, 3-2, 1-0 and 1-0. On Sunday, Messi has a chance, in front of a worldwide TV audience and 78,000 fans at Maracanã, to deliver that brilliance everyone is waiting to see. Before Messi played an exhibition in Miami a few years ago, TV analyst Ray Hudson, the former Miami Fusion coach who is known for hyperbole, said, "The people of Miami should crawl on broken glass just to inhale the exhaust fumes from the bus Messi is traveling on. He is that good. He is one of the gods of the game, right up there with Pelé and Diego Maradona. There is something about this player that transcends the game in that magical way. He's the equivalent of the Miami Heat's great 3 all rolled into one. He has the borderline genius of LeBron James, the magical exuberance of Dwyane Wade, and the coolness and effectiveness of Chris Bosh. This guy is spellbinding and so astonishingly special. He is Shakespeare's greatest sonnet in motion." That is all well and good, but Messi craves what the Heat stars have earned. He wants his sport's most coveted trophy. He wants to check off that final box.
World Cup, Netherlands defeat Brazil in third-place playoff. Netherlands add to Brazil's misery, claim third place in World Cup. The Netherlands compounded a horrible week for Brazilian football by triumphing in the World Cup third-place playoff match in Brasilia Saturday. Chaotic defending helped the Dutch race into an early lead with Robin van Persie scoring a penalty before Daley Blind added a second soon after. Brazil spent much of the second period looking for a way back into the game, but despite a couple of dangerous-looking free kicks and a solid claim for a penalty of their own, never looked like clawing back the deficit. A late strike by Jorginho Wijnaldum then piled even more misery on the World Cup hosts. Brazil endured their first set of back-to-back losses on home soil since 1940. Losing the third-place game at their World Cup to the Netherlands 3-0 in Brazilian on Saturday night. The result concluded what local media have called an $11 billion nightmare for the hosts, and while that seems cruel considering the great entertainment we have seen here this summer, there is no mistaking the depth of Brazil's humiliation. What had been such a promising World Cup on the field for the hosts became a disaster last week, when Germany delivered a beatdown of epic and historic proportions. Brazil coughed up 7 goals in the match, and after Saturday, their grand total for this World Cup stood at 14, the most they had ever allowed in a World Cup tournament, and for that matter, the most any host has ever conceded their guests. How did they hit such heights? Easy. Brazil's frantic play paired with dreadful defending allowed them to throw games away right from the opening moments. Brazil conceded a goal from the penalty spot in just the 3rd minute. They never recovered, and the one-time Golden Boys would depart with boos ringing in their ears. Arjen Robben raced into the area 2 minutes into the game on a clean breakaway. Thiago Silva reached out, grabbed him by the shoulder, and hauled him down, and referee Jamil Mahdi immediately pointed to the spot. While it was questionable if the foul was actually inside the box or not, everyone was baffled that Thiago Silva subsequently remained on the field. It was a clear red card offense. Even if this third-place match is a wretched and unloved one, it still felt like the wrong call, and it would signal a shaky evening from the man in the middle. Even so, Robin van Persie stepped up to the spot, and pinged the shot home with authority. 14 minutes later, the Dutch ran a textbook counterattack, overloading the right side with Jonathan de Guzman cutting the ball back from the far side. David Luiz bafflingly headed the ball out into space, and Daley Blind stepped up, and on his weaker foot, barreled it home. Blind is not exactly a goal machine. His last strike was back in February and this was his first for Holland, ever. Jorginho Wijnaldum added a late insult, sweeping in a shot served in by Daryl Jalmat. It was pathetically defended by Julio Cesar, and when it went in, the catcalls from the main Guernica grew ever louder. Those boos stung. David Luiz has worn the hangdog expression of a jilted lover throughout these past 2 matches. Once the face of this team, he has become the scapegoat. The tears he has shed over the week are genuine, but he has imploded so spectacularly at this World Cup, with boneheaded plays following bad fouls. Somewhere, surely, Roman Abramovich was rubbing his hands with glee. Chelsea sold David Luiz to PSG for some $80 million on the eve of this World Cup. On the other hand, Laurent Blanc, who now faces a future with Maxwell, Thiago Silva and David Luiz on his back line, may be checking his pockets to see if he still has the receipt. The only person in yellow who looked like wanted to be on the field was Oscar, and after a largely invisible performance against Germany, he was a consistent threat for the hosts. But despite winning a number of free kicks for the hosts, their best chance didn't come until the hour mark, when Ramirez dragged a shot wide of Jasper Cillesen's goal. Oscar was in fact booked for diving in the 69th minute, a terrible call that wrapped up a mystifying performance from Messi, who seemed to be watching some other game, at some other stadium. For the Dutch, this was a case of simply going through the motions. It felt as if another box was checked off for the World Cup's perennial bridesmaids. They had never won the bronze at the World Cup, but their manager, Louis van Gaal, had made no secret of the fact that he thinks these games are useless wastes of men's time. He's got a point, and only Robin really looked as if he was giving his all. Brazil can take heart that many of the worst fears around this World Cup, the protests that roiled the Confederations Cup, the high wire rush to finish the stadiums, the real worries over security did not materialize. But the nation will still feel burned. Brazil spent an incredible sum on the World Cup with few tangible lasting benefits, and worst of all, they didn't win it. The vitriol that has been directed at FIFA, at Sepp Blatter, and at their president, Dilma Rousseff, is a reflection of that anger, and it will be interesting to see what happens next. Off the field, Rousseff is likely to lose her October election, and FIFA have come out of this World Cup looking even more roguish than thought possible. The capper may be the farce that is the growing ticket reselling scandal, which saw a high-ranking FIFA associate named a fugitive by the police. On the field, if Brazil can rebuild their domestic leagues and development program, getting back to the style that carried them to many triumphs, they may yet be a team of the future. Right now, however, they are fourth. And in this football-mad country, that cuts deeply indeed.
Away we go. Raul Moreles. It's through. Miguel Veloso will swing one in. And they escape imminent danger. Play surges forward. Fabio Coentrao. Varela. Now, surely!
Well, look, you don't need me to tell you that if your first touch is a little bit sloppy, then you're not going to make too much progress, and I think he knew exactly that. I'm sure he'll get it right next time.
Here's Nani. Miguel Veloso. Now a chance for a cross from the flank. He shoots again. Cleared away from immediate danger. Here's Ibrahimovic. Pepe. And João Moutinho. Takes a shot. Miguel Veloso is the player to take it. Bruno Alves. Miguel Veloso. João Pereira. Possibility here for a cross, and he's there to clear it. And Miguel Veloso. Nani! Plenty of options. Who's he looking to pick out? Could be a goal here. Portugal have scored. They grabbed the opener. It was all down to the control.
He shouldn't have been given the time to take that on his chest and get the shot away. That was slack defending.
So we start again at 1-0.
Oh, they've done well to take the lead there, but they can't let their opponents back in. They have to stay focused.
Shellstrom tried to play it through.
Yeah, it looked like there that he was asking just a little too much of himself to try and thread that ball through. He was a bit over-ambitious, but I like his thinking.
Grandqvist. Rasmus Elm. Ibrahimovic. Miguel Veloso. Here's Nani. Pepe. Here's João Moutinho. Here's Nani. Here's Varela. Surely he's in! Driven in! And he makes absolutely no mistake! 2 goals to the good, and they're set fair. That is simply unsavable. So it's now 2 without reply.
Well, at 1-0 this game was very...
The whistle goes to signal the midway point of this game. It's a lead, but not a decisive one. 2-0 the score. Sweden set the ball rolling. Shellstrom. Here's Ibrahimovic. Raul Moreles. The ball's with João Moutinho. Nani's got it. Sebastian Larsson. João Pereira. Miguel Veloso, who's set up one goal so far. Sebastian Larsen. That'll be a throw. Here's João Moutinho. Surely! Shoots! Another one! They lead by 3, and that may just about be that. There's the benefit of pinpoint accuracy.
Well, we could quite easily have seen that rebound off the woodwork, but it deserved to go in off the underside of the bar. It's a great finish.
He's got 2 in this game, he's on a hat-trick. We resume again, the score is 3-0. Sebastian Larsen. And Elmander. Wonderful through ball over the top. That looked a foul, and the referee's given it. This, the ideal opportunity to pull one back. Wouldn't stay down for him. And Nani. João Moutinho's got it. Varella's got it. Here's Varela. Now a chance for a cross. And no danger there from that cross. Raul Meireles has robbed him. That was certainly travelling.
He knows very well he can score from that distance. Not quite this time.
Bruno Alves. Oh, he wasn't taking any chances there. Elmander. He's waiting here. Long ball forward. Easy pickings, really. Rasmus Elm. Nani. The ball played through the middle. Shellstrom is in position to intercept. Safari. He's got possession now, maybe a chance. Well struck, the keeper gets to it. There's the final whistle. Comprehensive win.